This is Edsel, and this is me and Stella Rose behind the culture. When it comes to similarities, I would say that a lot of the cultural aspects are or have been generational, whereas there are certain aspects of the culture that have been passed down or entrusted to certain families, and that is one way that certain cultural traditions have been able to withstand, even as little as they may be. At least some aspect of them have been passed on. As it relates to differences, I feel Statia is more connected to their cultural history than Saba is. In part for a lot of the reasons in the similarities is like because certain responsibilities were only entrusted to certain families, or certain discussions were only had within certain families. It's not as widely known as you might think, as where you can look at Statia and you can see the cultural expressions in many of the various different events that they have throughout the year. Saba's culture would mean a lot more if it is something that is taken more seriously. It's important to pass this valuable knowledge on to the next generation, but I believe for all parties involved, whether that be in the schools, the government, the elders that we have left that are able to hand off this information, it needs to be expanded on and really pushed into the educational system. I feel that's the only way we'll be able to continue. To put it plainly, the creativity really comes from me, myself. It depends on what I may be feeling to draw inspiration from, whether it be a costume design of someone else that I saw. It can be a flower, it can be a color, it can be an animal, you name it, whatever strikes me at the moment, and that is where I draw my inspiration from. So I've had many years of experience in building and making costumes, and that's dealt from being a chaperone for many pageants and working in mass camps myself, and I use that to develop my own skills. However, as recent as the last 6 years or so, I design the costumes myself. The concept, the design are mine, and then I decide on the costume builder, and then we collaborate and we go from there. In comparing the two, for me, both places feel like home because I have large parts of family that live on both islands. However, in Statia, there's more of a camaraderie, and I say that because I feel the art form is respected more in Statia, and that's just going off of my personal experience. There's more of a willingness to collaborate and really understand what goes into creating these works of art. And this is not to put down anyone. The unfortunate reality of what I've been experiencing in Saba is that there is no real collaboration when it comes to the individual aspect of creating these costumes. It's a lot of unhealthy competition, and that is something that for me, it gives me a bitter taste in my mouth, because for me it's all about the fun, the creative expression, the enjoyment. So I don't compete. So even though they do have competition segments, I prefer not to compete because it's not about competition for me. I like to say that my costume speaks for itself. Volleyball has been and continues to be a major highlight in my life. It was something that, in a way, it's cultural, it's generational, because it is a sport that my older siblings played. So because you want to be a part of the fun too, you get into it. And the generation that raised them taught us how to play the sport. So in turn, we turn around and do the same thing. So that's another way of keeping it continuous. As it relates to Statia, Saba and Statia have always, I find, out of all the Dutch children, the Dutch Caribbean, that we've always had the best relationships out of the other islands. So especially when it comes to sports, we have been successful in volleyball specifically, and whereas we've had many scrimmage tournaments where us come in here and they come into Saba, and a few times we've traveled to other places, we've competed together. So I'm happy to say now that the current volleyball association in Saba, that we have a working relationship with each other where we can comfortably share ideas and work together in a collaborative manner. I believe, or I hope, the message that they would take from my short time on this earth is that regardless of what life throws your way, that there is a way to survive or thrive. Then we are all going to be faced with negative situations, traumas, etc. It's a part of life. We can't escape that. But it's all about being resilient in the face of all this adversity and using that adversity to your benefit. So you tell your story. You don't allow someone else to take the narrative of your story.